Hey everyone, Crystal Shawanda here to talk about my album, Churchhouse Blues. So since the release of the album, I've been getting a lot of messages from fans who are wondering about the inspiration behind some of the songs on the album. So I thought that I would go through it track by track and talk about the inspiration, the songwriters, the musicians, and kind of just the whole approach we took to recording this album. And because who really has the time to sit and listen to me talk for a whole hour about my album, I'm going to go through it track by track, video by video, one track, one video at a time. And also that way so that you guys can, if there's one particular song you're wanting to know about, you can just click on that video here on my YouTube channel. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So this is the first album that I have done completely under the direction of True North Records. So just a little bit of a backstory. I've actually released my last 4 albums under my own record label, New Sun Records, which is now New Sun Music. But to be perfectly honest, it became really exhausting to wear so many different hats, you know, looking after the business, the marketing, the production side of things. It kind of just takes out the whole romance of being an artist. And so when I put out my last album, Voodoo Woman, I actually just kind of just threw it out there. And thankfully, Jeff Kulowik from True North Records came across the album and approached me about signing with them, and I loved his ideas, I loved his vision, and so I went for it. And I signed with them and we started working together, and they actually re-released my Voodoo Woman album, and it ended up spending like over 70 weeks on the charts. And that was just amazing, you know, what they did with that record. And that bought us time to work on this album, Churchhouse Blues. So it was just really nice working with a team again, and having that support and having a different perspective come in. I feel like it pushed us to raise the bar for ourselves, and the whole experience challenged us in a good way. And it felt really good to have guidance again, and we just really appreciated it. So another big change for me on this album was stepping away from the producer's chair. Again, a little bit of a backstory. I co-produced the last 4 albums with my guitarist slash husband slash baby daddy, Dwayne Strobel. And I was starting to feel like I was spread a little thin. And in order for me to continue to be the best mother that my little girl Jaja deserves, and to be the best artist that True North Records deserves for investing in me, I needed to take another one of my hats off. But I felt really confident about my decision though, you know, because Dwayne has taught me everything I know about producing, and we know what our sound is, and most importantly, we know what we want it to feel like. And so I felt really good about my decision. I was able to just sit back and enjoy being a mother, because I take Jaja with me to the studio all the time. And I was able to enjoy being an artist again and really focus on singing and the delivery and all that. So, and you know, and judging by the rave reviews we've gotten, like literally every review we've gotten on the album was great. All the reviews were great, and they all really took the time to recognize Dwayne as a producer. And so it became pretty obvious that I made the right decision, especially since halfway through the recording of this album, we had a major shakeup within our recording team. But the situation didn't even shake him at all. All we did was make him realize that we had gotten comfortable and things had become stagnant. And when that happens, you stop learning, you stop growing, and you stop evolving, and that's no good. So, you know, the major change ended up being exactly what we needed, and the album turned out better than where it was at when the shakeup happened. So I think it's really funny how a negative situation forced Dwayne to shine as a producer and even as an engineer this time around. We both grew a lot through the making of this album, and we're really thankful for it. I think the biggest thing that we learned through this whole experience is that it was an affirmation that we're not done evolving yet. So since the release of my album Churchhouse Blues, It has spent 8 weeks in the top 5 on the Roots Music Report and 5 weeks in the top 10 on the Living Blues chart. And it's still lingering around on the charts out there. So we're just so grateful, we're so thankful. And anything that happens beyond this, after this, is just really icing on the cake. We want to thank everybody at Blues Radio. Thank you so much for playing the album. It means so much to us. And thank you to everybody who has bought and streamed the album. You guys make my world go round. You know, we can't do what we do without you, so thank you so much for your support, especially through this whole pandemic thing. It has meant so much to us. It has kept us going, and thank you again, as always, to True North Records for an amazing release, especially under the circumstances. So yeah, let's do this. Let's hit it. Track 1, Churchhouse Blues. So Churchhouse Blues was written with David Norris and Lowell Gaines, and it's really about the similarities between the church house and the roadhouse, and how we're all more the same than we are different. You know, we're all just trying to find that something that helps us get through this crazy thing called life. And so the song is really just a fun conversation about that. So yeah, so that's what the song is about. I picked this song as the title track of my album because I feel like I was born out of Churchhouse Blues. For those of you that don't know, you know, as an Indigenous woman who grew up on the Weequampong First Nations up in Canada, you know, we have had a conflicted history with the church. The scars remain from all the abuse that took place during the residential school era. We as a people are still healing from all the intergenerational trauma that has trickled down. And so I feel like I was born out of that, you know, and I feel like I'm one of the last generations that will feel that impact from that era. I feel like this is an important part of my story, and that's why I decided to call the album Churchhouse Blues. I also wanted to kind of tip the hat to how I grew up. You know, I grew up singing in the church house, and I also grew up singing in the roadhouse in the way of bars and grills and taverns and honky-tonks. And, you know, so I grew up with influence from both sides. And I feel like because I grew up with influence from both sides, that all attributes to who I am as a singer and as an artist and as a human being. So the musicians who played on this album were Darren D. Rock James, who is a wonderful musician who plays regularly with the Stacy Mitchard Band. And not only is he an amazing drummer musician, but he's also a fantastic producer and songwriter, and a wonderful human being and a very good friend of ours. And we were just really proud to work with him on this record. Not only did he play on it, but he actually had a hand in co-writing 2 of the songs on the album. So we were really happy to have him play on this song and on this record.
There ain't much difference in that church house and roadhouse after all. There's temptation in the bottle, redemption in the Bible. Don't matter what song you sing.
On bass, we had Dave Rowe, who I have known longer than anybody else in Nashville at this point. Back in the day when we used to play at Tootsie's for Tips down on Broadway, he used to play at Roberts, and sometimes before his shift he would poke his head in and visit us. And you know, so he's literally watched me grow up. He actually played in my band when I played my first showcase, when I got my very first record deal. And we've been working in the studio together for probably over 14 years, and he's played on my last 4 albums, and we've recorded a lot of songs and albums together for a lot of different artists that I produce and mentor. And as always, we're just so honored to have him on the album. Dave Rowe is just amazing. He's played with everybody from Johnny Cash to Dwight Yoakam, from CeeLo Green to YOLO. So he's an amazing musician and a wonderful human being, and we are happy to have him play on this record once again. A new face on this record was Mickey Gutierrez, and I hope I said your name right. Please forgive me if I didn't, I apologize. If it makes you feel any better, people always mispronounce my name. But he's an awesome saxophone player, and he came and played in the studio, and he was one of Jaja's favorite musicians to watch, and I thought that he brought this really different flavor to the song, and we loved having him on the record. On keys, we had Canada's very own Jesse O'Brien, who's just a really brilliant musician. Every time he would send back something he played, I would listen to it and go, wow, I don't know if we could have got that from anybody else, We were just really excited to have him on this record. All the guitars on Churchhouse Blues were played by Dwayne Strobel. He does a lot of the guitar work on this whole album. Of course, because he is my right-hand man. I feel like I'm Dwayne's biggest fan. I really do feel like I'm his biggest fan. I always have been. And, sometimes I feel like people sell him short because he's my husband. They don't give him enough credit as a guitar player, as a musician. People think, oh, he's just got the gig because he's married to Crystal. But really, it's the other way around. I was a fan of him as a guitar player first. We played in a band together. And, and then the husband part came later.
Singing a song right to me. She sang Lordy, 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 like the bartender's last call.
Singing backgrounds on this album, or on this song, was the McCrary sisters. If you don't know who the McCrary sisters are, you're missing out. And you need to look them up right away. Buy their music. They record their own music, and they also sing with everybody. They sing with a lot of different singers from all different genres of music, and we were just lucky to get them on this record because they're so busy. But as a vocalist, I am a forever student. I'm always learning. And when I have the chance to get amazing singers like the McCrary sisters in the studio, it's back to school for me. I'm like signing in, I'm ready to learn. I sit there and I watch and I listen and I try to learn what I can. Singers like the McCrary sisters, they hear things in a different way. And I feel like I'm not there yet. I feel like I'm still growing as a vocalist, and I hope someday that, I can pick out lines and parts the way they do. I sing a lot of backgrounds on my own records and other people's albums as well, but I'll forever be a student, and I'm always going to want to have other singers on my album because it makes the music better. Having these different voices changes the flavor, and I think the best part about having them in the studio was watching them play with Jaja. Jaja just loved them, our little girl. They were dancing, they were singing with her and playing with her, and she was just giggling and squealing, and it was really special, as a mother. And, Jaja loves music, and, just to think someday when she's all grown up, like, yeah, when you were 2 years old, you were kicking it in the studio with the McCrary sisters, and I think that's a really special moment from the making of this album that we'll remember forever.
Last night, yeah, they were dancing in the aisles like that roadhouse we played last night. That preacher, he was singing loud.
All right, so that was the first track one, Churchhouse Blues. And that kind of gave you the whole rundown of the making of the album and kind of the, things that we went through when recording this album. So thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, and drop a comment down below. I'm always interacting with everybody here on my YouTube channel. And don't forget to keep checking in for the next video, for the next track, which will be Evil Memory. Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already bought or streamed my new album, Churchhouse Blues, do it today. What you waiting for? And if you've already bought or streamed the album, thank you so much for your support. We really do appreciate it. And have a beautiful day, guys. Thanks again.